Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to be doing an Oxford Very Short Introduction book review. As you guys know, I like to read these, try to get in one a month. And lately, I've been trying to study the Hittites, if you've been following the channel. If not, that's just like a topic I'm going to start researching a lot. And they don't have a book directly on the Hittites, but they do have The Ancient Near East by Amanda Podany. And this obviously would cover the Hittites as one of the cultures in the ancient Near East. And I felt this one was definitely one of the stronger, very short introduction books in the series, or at least out of the ones, the few I read. I felt this one was really concise. It was very, it was not helter-skelter at all. It was very organized, I guess you could say. Because sometimes they kind of go all over the place, but like I said, this one was really organized. I liked the way it was formatted. And the major decision with this book was to only include civilizations as Near Eastern if they use cuneiform writing in the Near East. And I felt that was actually a really good decision because really what that's doing is just taking Egypt out of the picture and the Achaemenid Persians out of the picture. And I felt that was a good decision because a lot of times Egypt and Persia, they definitely take over lots of times just because Egypt's like its own thing basically. And gets so much special treatment that it sort of just gets all out of proportion compared to the other cultures. And then also ancient Persia, we know quite a bit more about them compared to some of the other cultures. And since they're the most recent, I guess, if you could say that to us, considering, still 2,500 years old, but they usually get a lot of special treatment as well. So I felt by taking them out of the picture, a lot more in such a short space could be dedicated to the other civilizations of the Near East. So most of them are all going to be pretty much basically Mesopotamian, Syrian, or Anatolian. So I thought that was a really good decision. There was only one real critique I had, and that's basically because of kind of biased because I wanted it for the Hittites and stuff. The Hittites are only in the late Bronze Age chapter, which itself makes sense. However, I just felt a lot more could be done in the late Bronze Age chapter because at that point you have so many big cultures and civilizations flourishing at the same time with the whole we have the Hittites, Mitanni, until the Hittites basically take them out of the picture, I guess. You have Assyria and Egypt and all them. And the whole collapse of the Bronze Age, pretty much the whole Near East just completely just melted down. So I felt a lot more could have been done on that. And also, the Hittites get a little bit of a bad rap in this book, basically because she tries to make them look like they're really aggressive, and they're aggressors with the war against Egypt and stuff. And technically, yeah, it's true that Suppiluliuma was attacked Egyptian holdings first, on the field of battle. That's technically true, but she doesn't include this in the book, and that the right before that, Suppiluliuma sent one of his sons to be married to a widowed Egyptian queen, probably King Tut's wife. But anyway, she requested a son from the Hittites to marry, and he sent his son off, and he just sort of gets murdered once he gets there. So obviously his father, Suppiluliuma, as king of the Hittites, was a little upset with that. So it wasn't like it was completely unprovoked or anything. But anyways, those are kind of minor things. Overall, I really did enjoy the book. Like I said, I really liked how she picked cuneiform writing as sort of the basis of considering a civilization as a ancient Near Eastern one, just for the purpose of this book anyways. I felt that was a really good decision. She also brings up, I like how she brings up sort of biographical profiles throughout most of the chapters. For example, in the chapter on Assyria, they're basically known as, the bloodthirsty warmongers of the ancient Near Eastern world. I mean, they had literally whole royal positions that were basically just royal torturers who came up with new ways to kill people and torture people and stuff, and they dangled heads from their walls and all that stuff. But anyways, for example, she picks Ashurnashirpal as a character profile of the Assyrians, and he was basically, yes, he was sort of a warlord, but also he was a super big scholar. He liked to learn about things and everything. He had a big cuneiform library that he housed. Might have exaggerated a little bit on some of the stuff, like she said, the mathematics. He's supposed to be one of the best mathematicians of Mesopotamia, and a big diviner and all that stuff. But anyways, it shows that not all these humans were just bloodthirsty psychos. learning was kind of a big deal for some of them at least. And when she does these character profiles, like for example, another one during the Ur-3 dynasty. If you guys don't know what that is, that's sort of like the quasi-Babylonian empire that came after like the Sargon the Great's Akkadian empire like collapsed. But anyways, she does a good profile on Ur-Nama or Ur-Nammu, which no one's probably heard of compared to Hammurabi. Like everyone knows who Hammurabi is because of his law code, but Ur-Nama actually had a law code 100 or 150, 200 years, something like that, before Hammurabi. And she includes that and describes that in quite a bit of detail for a very short introduction. I thought that was really cool, just because, like I said, first of all, no one's probably heard of the Ur-3 dynasty or Ur-3rd dynasty, and no one's heard of Ur-Nama, or at least in comparison to how popular Hammurabi is. So I thought that was really cool. Oh, and forgive me, it's not Ashurnasirpal, it's Ashurbanipal. There's like the scholar, Syrian king. Totally messed that one up. Whoops. Lastly, I thought her coverage of kind of like the prehistorical time period from like 4000 to say like 2900 BCE, thought that was really well done, and some of the developments of like the rise of cities and kingship and stuff like that. Thought that was actually really good for such a very short introduction. Like I said, her coverage of Sumer and sort of the Proto-Sumerian civilization. Thought that was really well done. That can get a little convoluted at times just because there's so many different opinions and theories going on without too much. There's kind of writing, but it's not. It's literally just sort of like, like 4 sheep or whatever as offerings, stuff like that. So it's really hard to pin things down. She did a really good job bringing out an overview of sort of the latest thoughts and developments on basically proto-history, or the period right when history was first starting in the first cities, like I said. Thought that was really well done. So overall, I was really pleased with this very short introduction. This is definitely one of the better ones. If you guys like learning about ancient civilizations, even before like Greece and Rome, ancient history, like ancient history, you guys probably should check this one out if you don't really know where to start. Definitely encourage you to check this one out. If you guys have a favorite ancient Near Eastern civilization, leave it in the comments below. I'd like to find out what you guys think. And I'm going to give The Ancient Near East, a very short introduction by Amanda Podany, a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. And always remember, read victoriously.